This week I'm going green. Golf greens, that is. Victoria has some of the best golf courses in BC, and there's some tough competition out there. Lush and perfectly landscaped, the greens are enjoyed by both visitors and locals. Whenever I get the chance, I get out on one of my favorite courses to practice. And let's face it, I could use it. As much as I need my practice out on the greens, I'm also out to explore the fabulous local food that some of these courses have to offer. My day of golf got off to a royal start. One of only 61 in the world, this course has been called royal since 1931, when King George V granted the club its status. I wonder if his handicap was any better than mine. This golf course is known as one of the best in Canada, but it's also well known for its drive to support local food. And executive chef Christopher Hammer is leading the charge.
Well, I've been dealing extensively with Madrona Farms for years and years and years. And we succeeded in the campaign to save the farm.
Yeah,
and now it's owned in perpetuity by the Land Conservancy, so that was great.
Yeah. We talk about all these supporting programs that particularly the Island Chefs Collaborative is involved in, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's totally self-serving, isn't it? Because the more great local produce we've got, the easier our jobs are.
That's totally true. Yeah. I mean, the more great items we could get our hands on, like Sunwing Farm tomatoes or you know, Sea Bluff Farm stuff or whoever, new farms coming in that we're trying to help and develop is what we're really focusing on.
So what are you going to do for us today?
We're going to make a little halibut salad with some beautiful local greens and some lovely potatoes. And I've got some halibut actually somewhat curing in the kelp itself. Just sort of imparts all the flavor.
And you can see the flesh is just sort of slightly firmed up a little bit with the addition of the salt, hasn't it? To make it a little bit more stable. Yeah. So we're just going to give this a little sear.
That's right.
Put a little color on there.
Yeah.
So what do we got here on the potatoes?
On the potatoes, we have a little strawberry vinaigrette, strawberry soya vinaigrette.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay.
And then we're going to put that on top. It's sort of like a little summer salad. Right. Just going to dump those right over top of the greens. Sunwing Farm tomatoes.
What do we got going on here? Something fried?
Yeah, something fried. Everybody likes a little something fried on their plate, even if it's a salad. So I've taken some of these shimeji mushrooms. These lovely little guys. They're just so cute. And I've tempuraed them along with some carrots. Just because I thought a tempered carrot would be pretty good too. And that's it.
That's a sexy looking salad, sir.
Today I'm checking out Victoria's greatest and tastiest golf courses. Next up, the Times Colonist Open at Uplands Golf Course. Most golf courses are green, but some are greener than others. Uplands Golf Course is one of the few environmentally certified golf courses in Victoria. They haven't used pesticides in over 30 years and are an Audubon certified bird sanctuary. Today is the Times Colonist Open and the anniversary of the golf course, and bar supervisor Derek Taylor is making a special drink just for the occasion.
Now, Derek, I understand you guys have got a pretty special anniversary this year.
Yes, it's our 90th anniversary. The course came into effect in 1922, so we've come up with a cocktail to celebrate that. We're going to start with Absolute Citron, sour apple liqueur, and then finish off with cassis, which is a liqueur that is not well known and not well used lately. This drink will change as it goes through because we start out with all of the ingredients, but with the cassis, we will pour it in last so it will sink to the bottom. It gives you a nice ring on the bottom, so you get a two-tone cocktail. And as you drink the cocktail,
the flavor changes.
The flavor changes. So by the time you get to the end of it, it's a whole new cocktail.
Kind of like my golf game.
Yeah, my golf game also, definitely. Little Absolute Citron, a half an ounce of our sour apple, little ice.
Soda lemonade.
Give it a quick shake.
There's a beautiful sound, isn't it? When you just hear that ice in the shaker.
After a long golf game, you betcha. And then it's just literally a drop. So that gives you the different separations.
And this is the 1922?
1922.
Congratulations, sir. I think it's going to be a hit.
Excellent.
I've decided to take my drink to go and see what the Times Colonist Open was all about. A lot of people made it out for the event. And among the beautiful greens, there were a few familiar faces in the sponsorship crowd. My joyride over, I stopped in on the patio. Here we are today at the Uplands Golf Club. Beautiful sunny afternoon with Chef Nate Waters. Nate, thanks very much for coming out and showing us one of your dishes.
Thank you.
Good to see you. And what are you going to do for us today?
I'm going to do a spot prawn, local spot prawn, which I've poached in a court bouillon with avocado puree and pancetta and orange marmalade.
So when you say poached, you mean actually cooked in court bouillon, not
Yeah.
poached as in went out and stole it?
No, absolutely.
Just so we're clear. Okay,
Yeah.
making sure.
So I've got a pancetta jam,
Okay.
which I've made today. It's got orange zest, molasses. It's going to give you that sweet and salty to go with your sweet and sour from the prawns and the avocado.
Okay.
And it's going to be a great accompaniment. I've got an avocado puree, which I've done with chilies, salt, pepper, lime juice, and actually water, because that's your medium, and that's what'll give it the puree without affecting the flavor. Okay. And I've got some spot prawns, which I poached in orange juice, parsley stems, bay leaf, and shallots. Okay. The pancetta jam that I made earlier. And because I'm about using everything, I took the spot prawn heads and I fried them up, and just like that. So you're gonna get your six sense, if you will. You're gonna get your sweet, your salty, your sour, your bitter, everything, all into one dish.
Umami, just bring it all together. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
A new giant has arrived in town. Bear Mountain Resort. 36 holes of Nicholas-designed golf. 4 fantastic restaurants. 156 guest rooms. Bear Mountain has created a lot of buzz. There's plenty of buzz on the terrace too, thanks to all these beehives. Keeping things sweet at the resort is beekeeper Thomas. I'm getting suited up to meet him and his busy workers.
So this is a complete colony with, at the peak season, approximately 70,000 working bees.
There's this perception with bees. People are afraid of bees, aren't they? And they're fairly calm creatures, aren't they? I mean, we shouldn't be afraid of them, should we?
No, especially honeybees are quite gentle. As long as you don't walk up and kick the hive, you're not really going to get stung. Like, bees are quite important to every aspect of the food cycle altogether, like farming industry, everything requires pollination. And California has millions of bee colonies, and they suffered a horrible year a couple years back, which they lost over 500,000 colonies, and in turn skyrocketed the price of almonds. So it just goes to show how directly affected farming is by pollination. Open this guy up. I'm about time for a routine inspection anyway.
Okay. There's only one queen in any hive, isn't there?
Each colony has one queen. When the hive outgrows its space, they'll do what's called a swarm cell, or where they'll hatch a new queen. And they feed, the worker bees will feed that particular cell royal jelly, which is what will change it from being just a normal worker bee into a queen bee.
So why do bees make honey?
Food and energy, basically. Like they'll feed their larvae with honey, and it's one of the only things in nature that won't actually rot. It can last basically indefinitely as long as it's got the right moisture content in it, and the bees won't cap it off until it's at the proper moisture content, which will stop it from fermenting.
So how much honey will a hive like this produce?
I'd say we're on target to get approximately 120 to, if we're lucky, 200 pounds of honey out of this hive, which is a good amount. We have 5 colonies in total, so hopefully 1,000 pounds of honey if we're lucky.
So what do you guys do with the honey?
We do it, everything from ice cream to sauces, gastriques, you name it. We use it in just on our morning with toast and stuff like that. It's just about anything you can do with honey, we do with it.
Bear Mountain is also a sweet place to eat with its fine restaurants. So I'm very pleased to meet Executive Chef Iain Rennie in the open kitchen.
Oh wow, this is something, I feel like I'm in a goldfish bowl.
Yeah, welcome to Panache Kitchen.
What are we going to cook today? We're going to use some of the honey we've just seen being produced outside?
We're going to do a chilled cucumber soup with spot prawn bar, and we're going to use our local honey.
A spot prawn bar?
That's right, spot prawn bar.
Okay, I'm intrigued now.
What we're going to do is peel the spot prawns, take the vein out, put it through a food processor, we'll just blend it real quick. We're going to add some chives to it, orange skin, some lemon, a little bit of egg white. I'm just going to put it right into the mold. Fold the saran wrap over. We're just going to tape it, and we're just going to poach it on top of the stove for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Iain is one of the most creative and original chefs I've had the opportunity to meet. This is the first time I've seen masking tape used in the kitchen.
Meanwhile, we'll do our cucumber soup. We already grated our cucumber.
Okay.
So you leave the skin on for this.
Yep.
Then we're just going to put this in the blender.
So how much of your products are you actually able to source locally for the
I would say what we're doing right now is at least about 90%.
Wow, as much as that. That's incredible. Oh.
Add 1 lemon to this. White wine, about half a cup. Strain it right after.
Okay, so we're going to get rid of any residual pulp and seeds?
That's correct. We're going to infuse it with a little bit of ginger, lemongrass, a little bit of radish as well.
So this is our prawn bar after it's
That's
been
your
cooked
prawn bar.
and
It's
cooled?
been cooked.
That looks just absolutely delicious. So this is just basically pure prawn tail meat with the spices and the herbs through it.
We have an avocado puree, sour cream, avocado, and lemon. Some nasturtiums we have.
Nice and peppery.
That's correct.
Michael Roberts, thank you very much for joining us here. So, actor, writer,
Yeah.
any other accolades to your bag of tricks?
Depends on how slow the acting and the writing is.
Well, thank you very much. Well, of course, as Uncle Fester, you're pretty well known now as the new Addams Family.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, about 10 years ago, but it's still on the air today.
Yeah.
Still being rerun all over the place today. So
Thank
still
God
get
for reruns,
recognized.
eh? Well, what we're going to do today, of course, we've just come off, we saw the wonderful bees. I mean, 1,000 pounds of honey a year from a golf resort. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But we've got some beautiful local honey. We've got some local cucumbers. We're going to do something that's kind of fresh and light, but at the same time, we've got some nice prawns and a little bit of Thai curry. Again, we've got a bunch of influences. So the first thing I want to do is we've got one of our, again, local island-grown cucumbers here. Vegetable peeler,
Yep.
okay? Very easy. You want long, full-length strips, okay? And if we don't need the skin one. And basically just pull those down like so, and lay them onto that plate like that.
Okay.
So if I can give you that, and
Sure.
just you do that, and then I'll carry on doing my little marinade here. We've got 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar, and 1/4 cup of water, and we're going to put about a tablespoon's worth of that honey in there just to sweeten it, and about a teaspoon of salt, and a little pepper, of course, because that pepper is always. And that's it. It's really that simple.
Wow.
Just give that a little whisk together.
How many of these do you need? Just keep going.
We actually only probably need about half a dozen.
Oh, okay.
And then really simply, we just take our marinade
Yeah.
and just pour that over there so it just covers them. So again, it's just a light, it's a vinegar.
Now, what would you do if you didn't have? You've got a special big, sort of fancy plate for something like that. Can you roll those up and do that in another kind of bowl, or do you have to do it like that?
You could even do something like this. And the beauty of this dish is that you don't have to do these perfect slices. You can actually just do cucumber rings if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
And just throw them into the bowl like so.
Oh, all right.
You can actually see almost straight away. You see how the cucumber's starting to go a little bit translucent?
Yeah.
That's the salt and the acid, okay, from the vinegar working together. Put a little bit more of that liquid on there, and we're just going to put that out of the way for a minute. Okay, so we can put this in the fridge or just out of the way for the time being. So, how long have you been an actor?
I professionally probably almost about 25 years or so.
Right.
But I always wanted to be an actor since I was about like 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, yeah. You've always
went
been
through it.
happy in front of people?
Oh, you know what? I learned to read really, really young. Probably about 3 years old I could read. I didn't necessarily understand what I could read.
Right.
My neighbors were having a cocktail party, and I was over there, and they knew I could read, so they had these Playboy joke books. So they'd get me to read, and I have no idea what I'm saying. And I would, but I can vividly remember getting laughs and standing next to a couch where like the arm of a couch is about as high as my head.
Right.
And just standing and like,
Hey, this
well,
is cool.
that's all right. I like that. So yeah, so I mean, I've always done it to varying degrees of success.
So, we're going to move on a little bit here. What we've got here, this is yogurt.
Oh,
Plain, standard yogurt. It's the Greek style yogurt. But what I've done is I've actually put it in a piece of paper towel in a sieve or a strainer, and we've strained off the excess liquid.
Oh.
Probably about 25% of that yogurt's mass has been reduced by straining the liquid. Consequently, what it does is it thickens it. I mean, it's almost like cream cheese.
yeah.
Now, this one I have to say, as I say, is the Greek yogurt, so it's the full fat version.
Okay, that's why when you, because I've heard people say Greek yogurt in a recipe or something versus something else. Why?
Well, Greek yogurt is thicker anyways because, again, it's usually full fat.
Yeah.
And they do strain it partially. So it's already thicker than regular yogurt. This is basically going to be our dressing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a spoonful of our drained yogurt. And then we're going to give it a little more honey. Just enough to sort of, as I say, add a little bit of sweetness. So if I can get you to give that a little stir in for me, just incorporate that. So, pan nice and hot. About a tablespoon of oil, just to lubricate it. I got a little bit of garlic. Just 1 clove of garlic minced into the oil. And we're just going to give that 30 seconds, again, just to bring those flavors out. About a tablespoon of our Thai curry paste, red Thai curry paste. And this one, again, use whatever curry you like. If you don't like a hot curry, just use a little bit. You can get some very mild ones.
Yeah.
And we're just going to let that open up a little bit. And then what I'm going to get you to do is just basically throw all those prawns in the pan for me. And we'll just give them, yeah, they can go in again. You just want about 30 seconds on there to let those flavors open up. Perfect, there we go. And I'll give you the spoon. And if you just want to sort of turn those over, give them we've got a nice high heat going on. They'll take about 3 to 4 minutes, that's all. We don't want to overcook them.
No.
Just enough to sort of...
they're all getting some...
That's right. And just let that curry paste completely sort of coat them all nice and evenly. They're just starting to curl up. They're just starting to go a little bit opaque. And then what we'll do is we'll just sort of spread them out evenly on the bottom of the pan. Yeah. And then I'll turn the heat off.
Okay.
And of course, now there's enough residual heat in the pan that they will continue to cook through.
They smell fantastic.
And again, a little bit of garlic. And I always like the extra garlic in these things. It's that little extra garlic is always a good little kick. You were working there with Robert Carlyle? Mm-hmm. Fantastic actor.
Oh, yeah.
What was he like to work with?
Really great.
Yeah.
Really great. Really nice guy. And it was interesting because I thought, anytime I get to work with these actors who are really famous, I always try to think of something I can ask that's not going to be the same. Exactly. You know, you're not going to remind him of Train Spotting or the Full Monty. I'm going to kind of say something. So I said, you know, I really enjoyed your work. I'm a fan. And I said, I think the first thing I remember you in was an episode of Cracker.
Yeah. And
he looked at me like, you saw that?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And I said, and we talked about, because he played this like racist. And then, so we talked a few about things like that and stuff. But yeah, no, really, you know what? A lot of times the bigger they are, the more approachable they are. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's some weirdos with weird egos and weird things, but I've been very lucky that mostly everybody I've met's been really awesome.
Okay, well, you can hear it, the prawns have stopped sizzling. That carryover cooking has brought the temperature up. They're cooked.
You don't leave, like, you wouldn't leave it in like something like that the way you do beef or something. Do you like to sit? Like, or
effectively,
is that what you
did? That's the same principle. We're letting it rest. We're letting that temperature, because if you think about it, these are very small pieces. You don't want to have too much of that heat going too fast. And that's where you get those little rubbery prawns. This way, these should be tender and delicate and yet still fully cooked all the way through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make some little hoops with these cucumbers. And basically all you do is you just take 2 fingers and just kind of wrap them loosely around.
Okay.
Okay? And then kind of just stand them up on the plate. And they'll be a little bit floppy to start with. And then we'll just take our prawns, our shrimp, and just kind of pile them in. And they will now, the hoops will hold them in place. You just got to balance them out. We're getting a little bit top heavy on that one, but we'll just. And then we've got our dressing. So again, we've got the acid from the cucumber, the pickle. Mm-hmm. We've got the heat from the prawns. And then we're just going to lighten that up with a little bit of our yogurt. And we're just going to take a little piece of mint and slip that on the top there. Thank you very much for coming.
Hey.
Pleasure working with you.
You too. It was great.
What do you think? Mm-hmm. Works together? Look at that mint, brings everything together. You got the cucumber, the yogurt.
That's really nice.
I like that. And here comes the heat. Right at the heat just follows through.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely want to try making that myself from scratch.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Easy to do. Michael, thank you very much for coming in. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Long may your career continue, and we hope to see you in many more.
For sure. Does that mean I can have another one?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
And those are just a few of the tastes of Victoria. Well, we're really cooking the books here at Flavours. For all the great local recipes from season 1 and 2, see our brand new cookbook available in a bookstore near you. Or visit our website, flavoursofthewestcoast.net, for a full listing.
we were to do this dish here at the Bard and Banker, we would pair with the Phillips Analogue 78, which is a crisp, refreshing Kolsch beer.
The Kolsch is a German-style Pilsner from Cologne, made by Phillips locally here in town. It did start its life as a seasonal beer, but due to the overwhelming support from our regulars and those around town, it is going to be a mainstay product. And it also is part of our 2-mile beer program here at the Bard and Banker.
From the golf courses of Victoria to the Liquor Plus kitchen, Rod Phillips. We're here again, and we've got some curry, we've got some pickled cucumber, we've got some honeyed yogurt. What are you going to do for us?
Well, again, another nice challenge, and I was salivating. I was, getting really quite excited about tasting this dish. So the first place we're going to go to is to an Orvieto. Now, most people wouldn't necessarily think of Orvieto this way, but with the weight, the curry, the sweetness of the prawns, along with the pickle, the element of the cucumber, that Orvieto just. When you put your nose in there, it just has this.
It's this light, bright. I just feel like dancing a little bit. Yeah,
it's got a little dance to it. Yeah. And after a couple bottles of this, I find I can dance better.
It's beautiful. That's it. You just feel it. It connects. It pairs. It's a beautiful selection.
You can almost speak Italian as a result.
Now this one I'm intrigued by.
Now
look at the color in that one. That's just.
Pinot Gris is part of the family of Pinot Noir.
Right.
Pinot Gris, in some cases, will actually have a pink tinge or an onion skin kind of color to it. That's what this one has. And this is made up just up the island at Rocky Creek. It's one of the things they do really, really well. Bright acidity, freshness on the palate.
Again, you look at the color of that and you expect a lot more sweetness from it, and it's just off dry, isn't it?
That's
it's
right.
That nice mellow flavor. Excellent choice.
Now this one, we're going to go down under for this one. Now, Verdelho is a grape that is best known out of Portugal and central Spain. But almost every winery in Australia makes a Verdelho.
Right.
And it's generally a bigger, richer wine. And when you taste it, it's very ripe.
You can tell just by the legs on that, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? It's got very, very thick, syrupy consistency.
There's got some density to it.
Yeah.
It's probably as dense as I am.
I'm saying nothing, Rod. I'm keeping very quiet and diplomatic over here.
First time for everything.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Isn't that
delicious.
fantastic?
Good comeback. I mean, that's. And it'll stand up to that curry and the pickle and the yogurt.
It loves curry. In fact, it sent 500 love letters to this dish before we finish off with it.
Rod Phillips, thank you very, very much.
You're
Again,
very
an
welcome.
outstanding job.
Too kind.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Rod. Flavours of the West Coast is made possible by the generous contributions of the Victoria Pub Company, Country Grocer, and Fortis BC.